My fiancé made me meet her ex at a bar to prove I wasn't the jealous type. He spent an hour mocking me while she laughed, and she said, "Congratulations, you passed." I just smiled and paid the tab. This morning, after ignoring 50 missed calls, I answered the phone. It was her ex, crying, because the test was my idea to get him to confess on camera that they were still sleeping together. The whole twisted mess started with a simple request from my fiancée Amelia. "I need you to meet my ex Leo," she said about a week ago, her tone casual, almost bored. "It's important to me that you can prove you're not the jealous type." It was a test. With Amelia, everything was a test. I just smiled and agreed because the test wasn't hers, it was mine, and she had no idea she was about to fail spectacularly. Last night was the big performance. We walked into a dimly lit, overpriced bar, and there he was, sitting at a corner booth, Leo. He had that kind of generic, overconfident look that a lot of guys who peaked in college never managed to shake. He stood up, gave Amelia a hug that lasted a little too long, and then turned to me, shaking my hand with a grip that was meant to be intimidating. I just gave him a firm, simple handshake back. I wasn't there to compete. I was there to win. For the next hour, I sat there and listened. Leo told stories about the good old days with Amelia, full of inside jokes I couldn't possibly understand. He talked about his amazing job, his new car, his recent trip to some exotic island. It was a masterclass in passive-aggressive boasting. He'd mock my drink choice, my clothes, my quiet demeanor. "Amelia always went for the loud ones before you," he said with a smirk. "Guess she's in her quiet phase now." Through it all, Amelia just laughed. Not a polite titter, but a full, genuine laugh, like he was the funniest man in the world. She'd touch his arm, lean in close to hear him over the music, and look at me with an expression that said, "See, this is what a real man is like." I just sat there, nodding, smiling politely, playing the part of the slightly insecure but tolerant fiancé she wanted me to be. I didn't defend myself. I didn't get angry. I let them have their fun, letting them think they were in complete control. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Amelia looked at her watch. "Well," she announced, "I think this went well." She turned to me, a triumphant glint in her eye. "Congratulations, you passed." I just smiled. "I'm glad," I said. I pulled out my wallet, dropped enough cash on the table to cover their expensive cocktails, and stood up. "You two enjoy the rest of your night." I walked out of the bar without looking back, leaving them sitting there in a state of stunned silence. They had expected a fight, a scene, a breakdown. They got calm, polite acceptance. The confusion was the first part of their punishment. The thing is, I knew. I had known for 3 weeks. My best friend Mark had seen them. He was at a coffee shop across town and saw Amelia and Leo walk in together. He said they weren't acting like old friends catching up. They were acting like a couple, holding hands across the table, a quick kiss when they thought no one was looking. Mark felt terrible telling me, but he's a true friend. He took a quick, discreet picture on his phone and sent it to me with a simple message. "Dude, you need to see this." The picture hit me like a punch to the gut. But after the initial wave of hurt and betrayal, something else took over. A cold, methodical anger. I could have confronted her then and there, but that would have just resulted in a storm of lies, gaslighting, and crocodile tears. She would have twisted it, made it my fault, accused me of being a paranoid, jealous monster. I wasn't going to give her that satisfaction. I didn't want a messy breakup. I wanted a controlled demolition. I wanted proof so undeniable that it would shatter her entire world. So I started planning. I knew I needed to get them in a room together, where Leo's ego and Amelia's cruelty would make them feel safe enough to expose themselves. I had to make them think it was their idea. For the next 2 weeks, I played a part. I became the slightly jealous fiancé. A couple of nights after Mark sent me the picture, I put the first piece in place. We were watching a movie and her phone buzzed. She glanced at it and smiled before quickly turning it over. I waited a beat, then asked, "Who was that?" in a tone that was just a little too sharp. She immediately got defensive. "Just my friend Jessica. Why are you so suspicious all of a sudden?" I dropped it, but the seed was planted. A few days later, I made a comment about her getting home late from a girls' night. It was a delicate balance. I had to be just annoying enough to provoke her, but not so aggressive that she would see it as a threat. It worked perfectly. She started complaining to her friends that I was becoming controlling. Her best friend, the same Jessica from the text messages, even pulled me aside at a gathering. "Amelia's worried about you," she said, dripping with fake concern. "She feels like you don't trust her." I played the part, apologizing and saying I was just feeling a little insecure lately. I was building a narrative that would make her next move seem completely justified to everyone in her circle. After 2 weeks of my manufactured insecurity, she sat me down for the serious talk I was expecting. She told me my jealousy was becoming a problem, that it was a red flag for her. She said she couldn't be with a man who didn't trust her. And then she delivered the line I had been waiting for. "I think you need to meet Leo," she said. "You need to see that we're just friends, and you need to prove to me that you can handle it." I pretended to be hesitant, then reluctantly agreed. The trap was set. The night of the test, I was prepared. I wore a jacket with a small, high-fidelity audio recorder in the inside pocket. I also had a pen in my shirt pocket. It was a nice pen, a gift from a client. It also happened to have a high-definition camera embedded in it, capable of recording for over 2 hours. Before I left, I checked my bank accounts. Just as I suspected, the supplementary credit card I had given Amelia for emergencies had seen a lot of action in the past few weeks. A $2,000 handbag, a spa day with Jessica, an expensive dinner at a restaurant I'd never been to. She was getting comfortable, getting sloppy. It was another piece of evidence, another log on the fire. In the bar, I let Leo's mockery wash over me. I needed him to see me as weak, as a non-threat. About halfway through his performance, I leaned forward and put on my most sincere, good guy face. "Listen, man," I said, my voice full of fake vulnerability. "I know this is awkward, but I love Amelia, and I trust her. She says you two are just friends. I guess I need to hear it from you, just for my own peace of mind." It was like throwing gasoline on his ego. He puffed out his chest and leaned back, a predator enjoying the fear of his prey. Amelia was loving every second of it. This was the drama she craved. "Friends?" Leo chuckled, looking at Amelia. "Yeah, you could say we're friends. Very, very close friends." "I get it," I said, nodding like a fool. "You guys have history. I respect that." "History? Buddy, we're making new history all the time," he boasted. He was so high on his own arrogance, he couldn't help himself. "Where do you think she was last Tuesday night when she said she was with her sister? She wasn't learning how to bake bread, I'll tell you that." Amelia giggled, covering her mouth like a schoolgirl. "They thought they were breaking me. In reality, they were just handing me the shovel to bury them with." I pushed one last time. "So you're saying you're still sleeping with her?" I asked, my voice cracking with just the right amount of fake emotion. Leo leaned in close, his voice a low, triumphant whisper. "Every chance I get, buddy, and she loves it. She comes to you for the boring, stable stuff. She comes to me for the fun." That was it, the confession. Clear, undeniable, and recorded in high-definition video and audio. I played my part for a few more minutes. Then came the moment Amelia announced that I had passed her test. My calm departure from the bar wasn't an act of shock or defeat. It was the calm of a general who had just watched his enemy walk directly into a perfectly laid ambush. When I got home, I didn't waste a second. The first thing I did was call my credit card company and report the supplementary card as stolen. I disputed the recent charges, explaining that my fiancée had been using it for unauthorized personal purchases. They immediately froze the card. Then I started packing. Amelia had moved into my condo about 6 months ago. She never paid a dime for rent or bills, but she had filled the closets with her things. I didn't bother with neatness. I just started piling everything into boxes and bags. Her clothes, her shoes, her ridiculous collection of makeup, everything. While I was packing, I did some more research. I already knew Leo's full name, and it wasn't hard to find him online. He had a very public profile on a professional networking site. It listed his job, his accomplishments, and, most importantly, his relationship status. Engaged. To a woman named Clara. A quick search for Clara's name revealed something even more interesting. Her father was a man named Richard Sterling, the founder and CEO of the very company where Leo worked as a high-level executive. Leo wasn't just cheating on his fiancée, he was cheating on the boss's daughter. A fatal career mistake. I found a recent Society column article with a picture of Richard Sterling. The man looked like he chewed nails for breakfast. He was not a man who would appreciate being made a fool of. I took the video file from the pen camera and the audio file from the recorder. I edited them together into a short 3-minute clip. It was damning. It showed Leo's arrogant mockery, Amelia's gleeful laughter, and his crystal-clear confession, all in pristine quality. I uploaded the video to a private, password-protected server. Then I drafted 2 emails. The first email was to Clara. The subject line was, "Something you need to see regarding your fiancé, Leo." In the email, I explained who I was and the context of the test. I wrote that I was deeply sorry to be the bearer of such terrible news, but that I believed she had a right to know the truth about the man she was planning to marry. I included the link to the video and the password. The second email was to her father, Richard Sterling. The subject line was, "Confidential matter regarding your employee, Leo." The email was more formal. I introduced myself and explained that I had uncovered evidence of extremely unprofessional and unethical behavior by one of his executives. I mentioned that this behavior had personal implications for his family and that he should view the attached evidence at his earliest convenience. I included the same video link and password. I sent both emails at around 2 in the morning. Then I finished packing Amelia's things, piling the boxes by the front door. I changed the passcodes on the electronic locks. And then, finally, I turned my attention to my phone. 50 missed calls. A flood of texts. They started with confusion, then moved to anger, then to a strange, panicked concern. "Are you okay?" Amelia wrote in one. "I'm worried about you. That wasn't how the night was supposed to end." The gaslighting was truly breathtaking. I put my phone on silent and went to bed. For the first time in months, I slept soundly. I woke up this morning to the sound of my phone ringing. It was a number I didn't recognize. I let it ring for a while, then, out of curiosity, I answered. I put it on speakerphone. A man's voice, choked with sobs, came through the line. "What did you do?" He wailed. "It was Leo." "Leo?" I said, my voice calm and detached. "To what do I owe the pleasure?" "She saw it. Clara saw the video," he cried. "Her father saw it. I'm ruined. My life is over. Why would you do that?" I let the silence hang in the air for a moment. "I don't know what you're talking about, Leo," I said. "Last night, you seemed so proud of yourself. You were so eager to tell me how you were sleeping with my fiancé. I just thought your fiancé and your boss should get to see what a big man you are. You wanted an audience. I just made it a little bigger." He started screaming then, a string of incoherent threats and pleas. He begged me to take the video down, to tell them it was a joke. I just said, "You made your bed, Leo. Now you get to lie in it." Then I hung up and blocked his number. The fallout was swift and brutal. About an hour later, I saw an article on a local business news website. The headline read, "Sterling Corp executive fired amidst scandal." The article was vague, citing unethical personal conduct, but I knew exactly what it was about. Richard Sterling was a man who did not tolerate betrayal in his business or his family. Leo was finished. Amelia was next. She must have spoken to Leo because she showed up at my condo around noon, buzzing the intercom frantically. I didn't answer. She started calling my phone over and over. I let it ring. Then came the emails, each one more desperate than the last. She was sorry. She had made a terrible mistake. Leo meant nothing to her. She loved me. She said the test was stupid, that she was just insecure. She begged me to let her come home. I responded with a single email. The subject was "Your belongings." The body of the email was simple. "Amelia, your things are packed. A moving service will be delivering them to your parents' address this afternoon. The passcode on the door has been changed. The relationship is over. Any further attempts to contact me will be treated as harassment." I attached the video file to the email, just so she knew exactly what I had. The moving company I hired was instructed to arrive at 2 in the afternoon. I was there to supervise. As expected, Amelia was still there, sitting on the floor in the hallway, surrounded by her boxes, crying. When the movers arrived, she tried to cause a scene, yelling that this was her home and they couldn't take her things. I had anticipated this. I had already spoken to my building security and they were discreetly waiting down the hall. They stepped forward and calmly informed her that if she did not cooperate, they would have to call the police and have her removed for trespassing. Defeated, she just slumped against the wall and watched as the movers efficiently loaded her entire life onto a truck. Her family was the final piece of the puzzle. Her mother called first, all sweet reason and concern. She said Amelia had explained everything, that it was all a terrible misunderstanding, and that my overreaction was very worrying. I told her I would send her the same misunderstanding Amelia had seen, and she could judge for herself. Then her father called, a blustering, angry man used to getting his way. He started yelling about how I had humiliated his daughter, how I had a responsibility to take care of her. I let him finish. Then I said, "Sir, I am about to send you an email with a video file attached. After you watch it, you and I will have nothing further to discuss." I sent him the same video. He didn't call back. The aftermath has been quiet. The moving company confirmed that Amelia's belongings were delivered. I got a single, venomous text from her sister calling me a monster, which I promptly blocked. Leo has disappeared from social media. Clara posted a picture of herself on a plane with the caption, "On to better things." Good for her. Yesterday, I got an email from Jessica, Amelia's best friend. It was a short, awkward apology. She showed me the video. It read, "I had no idea. I'm so sorry for my part in all this." It seems even her staunchest defenders couldn't argue with high-definition proof. I spent the weekend cleaning my condo, getting rid of any last trace of Amelia. It feels bigger now, lighter. The whole relationship was a performance, a long, elaborate test that I was never meant to pass. She wanted me to be jealous so she could control me. She wanted me to be weak so she could feel strong. She underestimated me completely. She thought she was testing a loyal, slightly pathetic fiancé. She had no idea she was messing with a man who had already figured out her entire game and was just waiting for the right moment to checkmate her.